Hello YouTube, this is Michael again. I'm going to try to be quiet because my roommate is asleep, but I definitely didn't want to not upload the second part of this. Okay, so the last time we were talking, we were comparing how secret transgenders appear because they have the skeletal structures of men behind the veil of makeup and things that they accentuate, like hair and clothing, manipulative clothing. Okay. Also, plastic surgeries. And I'm by no means trying to pick on Jennifer Lopez. But let's move on to the next picture. Okay. Beyond all the surgeries that secret transgenders can get, the main ones that they cannot change are, the number one is the C curve in the spine. So as we discussed in the previous video, Selena is and genetically was born a real female. Females are born with this curvature in their spine to compensate for when they get pregnant. When the weight is up front, when the mother carries the baby up front, the woman can curve the upper part of her torso backwards to create a equilibrium and balance when walking and carrying the baby. Makes sense, right? So there's no man that can bend his back like this, okay? So this is definitely Selena Quintanilla, and she was definitely born a female. If you look at the actresses, and I'm not going to get into the males yet, but if we observe the actresses in Hollywood and many of the famous singers throughout many nations of the world, actually, and the runway models, etc., the fashion industry, you'll see that they have more of a straight line back. They also hyper accentuate the buttocks region with surgeries such as the Brazilian butt lift, etc. Or they can wear certain padding or have manipulative clothing made. Before we switch to pictures, I just want to show you more of a straight back compared to Selena. Although Selena was leaning back, but guaranteed this spine will not curve to the exaggerated curvature that Selena was showing in the last picture. Okay, so here are two females, supposed females, walking down the beach. I'll make this picture as big as I can. Okay. With the male torso, the hip bone ends below the navel, and it forms what we call an Adonis belt. As you can see, the hip bone up here, right here on the right hand side, is right above the navel. So that's another clear indicator if someone has a male pelvic region or a female pelvic region. Also, you'll see that the shoulders are wider than the hip ratio on the secret transgender, and the shoulders where it connects with the humerus bone is equal to that of the hip, or near equal on the real female. These are supposedly sisters, and this is the most famous Victoria's Secret model in the world. But it's obvious they're obviously not the same gender. As you can clearly see, this is a male pelvic bone, and also the hands extend way past the crotch region. On a female, a true female, the crotch region will reach right about the wrist. Over here we have a hand that goes nearly almost to the knees. Giselle is this model's name. So Victoria's secret is that they are all secret transgenders. As I said in my last video, this is going to upset some people with the truth, because the truth hurts sometimes. And this, the secret transgenderism isn't the most important thing that I'm going to teach you. It's just one part of the puzzle that leads you to the reality of the world we live in. This young lady right here, she's wearing a female bathing suit, but this is not a female, this is a male, because the back will only extend that far. Like we discussed with pregnancy, females can bend their upper torso with a C curve in the lower back. This young person right here is Whitney Houston. As you can see in this comparative photo, the amount of curvature that is presented with the full extension of this young Whitney Houston is the exact amount of curvature that this diver, or maybe yoga male, with his shirt off, to clearly show that it is the same angle. You know, you can have all kinds of plastic surgeries, you can add all kinds of deceptive clothing and makeup and hair, but you cannot disguise the vertebrae and the differences in vertebrae between male and female. So if you ever want to question someone's true nature-born sex and they are male to female transgender, I say that the lower back is the number one best way to tell. And I also must express it wholeheartedly with my heart that I don't hate any of these people. I still think Whitney Houston was one of the most extraordinary singers of our time, and the tragedy of why they transgender themselves is even a marked tragic story than the reality of her drug abuse. And I'll explain that later on in the video. Yes, it is very tragic. And I don't have any prejudice against people who feel that they are born into the wrong body. And I don't want to necessarily expose these people. It's their right and their business to choose what they want to choose. All as I can do as a Christian is pray for them, because in my humble opinion, and it's my opinion, and we're all allowed to our opinion, I feel that those are demonic influences or family curses that cause someone to think that they're in the wrong body, as well as sexual trauma or child abuse. But I'll expand on that later on. Okay, so now that we see that there is deception, we also have to acknowledge the fact that people do deceive, and that they are, as the scripture says, they are of their father Satan, and he can do nothing but lie. So they can do nothing but lie, and they keep their lies between themselves, and they manifest them in unbelievable ways that are so outrageous that we would never think twice. I don't think, unless you are born into a satanic family, that most people have the propensity or the heart to deceive, or the ability to deceive the way that these people are able to deceive. And part of the reason that they're able to deceive so well, not only is demonic influence, in my opinion, but it's also brainwashing and mind control that starts from when they're children, and it's very sad. This is Ken Kavanaugh, and this is the lady, I forget her name, and Christine Ford, that showed up separately, 3 hours between each other. She gave her testimony first, and he gave his testimony 3 hours later. Well, when you match up the faces side by side, the nostril, this is the most profound thing that I see, the nostril matches up perfectly. They can add nose prosthetics, they can add chin and skin prosthetics, they can make ears larger, they can add hair and jewelry and eyeglasses, but even the eye color is the same. And all it takes is someone who is a trained actor to be able to create a deception by acting. And Freemasons like to dress up in female attire. We've seen the governor of Giovanni, what's his name, from New York, dress up in drag with Donald Trump in a TV commercial. They think it's funny. They like to mock us. Anyway, this channel is called the Morgile. He's a very intelligent man. He teaches a lot about flat earth theory, which isn't a theory, it's the truth, and it's written in the Bible. The Freemasonry and the people who are running the show take their orders from Satan and the fallen angels, and they have had a long time to make up this reality that we live in. Okay, here's kind of a cool story picture, and then I'm gonna have to end it because they won't let me download videos longer than 15 minutes. Here's a familiar photo that I'm sure most people have seen, but if you scan the audience in this black and white photo, you'll see far apart eyes, high cheekbones, brow ridges, obvious wigs, and skulls that are gigantic compared to what normal females would look like. There's at least 4 or 5 in just this one picture. We'll go to the next picture. Well, this is actually a famous photograph. It's actually in the movie The Shining. At the very end, when Jack Nicholson, when they play the music at the end and they show Jack Nicholson actually being a person alive at the time when the ghosts were alive that are now haunting the hotel. Okay, but I have to ask you this. If Hollywood is not propagating a transgender agenda and secretly presenting women as men, then why in this photograph from the movie The Shining are most of the characters who are playing women in these elegant nightgowns, or not nightgowns, evening gowns, men dressed up as women? There's a man, that's a man, that's a pretty man. That's a man. That's obviously a man. Oh my gosh, he must be in the, San Francisco 49ers. There's another man. Once you learn how to transvestigate, you don't even need to investigate anymore. What you get to use is your natural instincts, and you learn to trust your eyes and your God-given ability and discernment to see through any kind of illusion or fakery. Yes. Anyway, I'm going to end the video here, and I'll do part 3. And part 3 will not be about transvestigation. What it will be about is more deception and lies that are right in front of your face while they mock and laugh at us. God bless everyone, and ask Yeshua to open your eyes, and peace and love to you all, my brothers and sisters.